Welcome to the Scoop with Dukes. I'm your host, Philip Dukes, aka DukesTheScoop. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at DukesTheScoop. And please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. If you have not become a member yet, go to the description, scroll to the bottom, you'll see a link. Hit that link, subscribe. Monthly, we have different and varying levels of support where you can help keep this content free. This is an AU Scoop, and I've got my man, the only defensive lineman to win Mr. Football in Alabama, DeMarco McNeil, Auburn legend. Marco, what's going on, bro?
Man, everything good, man. Everything good. CP, man, everything good. Deuce the Scoop, my bad, Duke the Scoop, man. My bad, Duke.
Hey, man, you know, it's been a long time. We've been knowing each other's shoes since we was in school, right?
And, undergrad.
Yes, yeah, man. The first. And man, it's just beautiful to see everybody's progression and what all they've done. And you've done a lot as well, man. We're talking about from being a Division I coach, SEC man, to just even your new endeavors, man. You've done a lot, man. Proud of you, and always glad to call you a friend, my brother.
Oh man, same here, man. I'm glad. I'm happy to see you doing what you're doing, and you're doing it well and doing it on big stages, man. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like it was. You just had started out, and then you got your stride together, and now you're taking off, man. It's good to see.
Man, I appreciate it, man. Speaking of taking off, when did you know? So, a legendary run at Matty T. Blunt. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm honorary Pritchard, just so you know.
Yeah. Okay.
So, when did you know that you were going to be special on the football field?
Man, I really didn't know. I didn't know it till I got to college or anything like that. Honestly, because down there you surround yourself with so many good, talented, players or what have you. And so I never just looked at myself as just being great. I was always trying to keep up because I was always the youngest, especially in the neighborhood. I was just trying to keep up and, and keep up with my big brother, what have you, and big older neighbors, and just doing it like that. But I never looked at myself as being special or anything like that. I was just going out there, just playing ball, trying to compete, trying to win. That's what I always try to do. Just wanted to play,
Right.
And whenever I played, no matter what I played, whether basketball or football or what have you, just try to win. And in the process of, I guess I gotten better. And, I would say I would never always as talented or what have you. I just like to compete. For me to lose, you're gonna have to beat me,
Right.
And so that's how I always looked at it. So I compete at everything I did, and it still carry on to the day, honestly.
When you were growing up in Mobile, what's in the water down there with so much talent? I would just remember being at Auburn. When I get there, you got Mobile on the basketball team, Mobile on the football team, Matt McGadney, D.D. Green. It was a lot going on, man. What was in the water down there?
No, it's what it is looking back on it now. And like I just told you earlier, it's the competitiveness, and you don't realize it what you're doing until you go elsewhere, until you see other things.
Okay.
And so I think that's one of the things that we did well down there, that you're gonna compete or you're gonna get left behind. And that's in every sport, and every sport is competitive, and it starts from the ground level, from 5-6 years old up until you get to college. And another thing, especially with football, is that it is very, people would say religious, but it's important. It is important. It is bred down there that you're gonna play good. You're gonna play football, but you got to play good football. And so I remember I went to a practice, had to be about 5 or 6 years ago, and it was a 5-year-old scrimmage in the 6-year-olds.
Okay.
And I guess a 5-year-old had hit a 6-year-old so hard, man, his mama came off the sideline and like, you gonna let that 5-year-old do you like that? Get back out there and get him back, and talking. I'm like, whoa, he's 5. I mean, he's 6. What are we doing? But that's just how it is down there. It's different, man. It really is. It's taken so seriously down there in Mobile, because like I was at South Carolina. Like, you'll ride around on Saturday afternoons, you don't feel the football at the park ball level.
Right.
You ride down to Mobile, especially back in those days, it kind of died down a little bit now. But about 5 or 6 years ago, man, everybody talking about football and everybody talking about the park ball, and it just bred it. And so now it just several people, as far as like talent-wise, it just come from that Mobile, Baldwin County area.
Why Auburn? You were literally Mr. Football. You could have picked any school in the country, and a lot of people were picking Alabama. You chose Auburn. Why?
Yeah. Well, quite honestly, on the outside looking in, I wanted to go to Alabama because, when you grow up down there, you'd be like, I want to go to Alabama because you're a high schooler or a middle schooler, and you'd be like, they're the better team. And
Right.
so, and they worked for the most part while I was growing up. But it just got to a point where I wanted to leave my own legacy. I didn't want to just fall and be one of, and Alabama didn't recruit me as hard at the beginning until a certain coach, until Lance Thompson, came from Georgia Tech and recruited me to Alabama. But by that time, I told him it's too late, man. I'm not going to Alabama. I don't know where I'm going, but it's not Alabama. And so, and I honestly wanted to play football in the SEC.
Right.
I wanted to play against the best. Like I got recruited by Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech did a great job, recruiting me. And if they were in the SEC, I probably would have, picked Georgia Tech because they honestly recruited me better, I thought. But I wanted to play SEC ball. I didn't want to play in the ACC. That's when the ACC is not even what it is right now. It ain't even as good as it, it's probably the best it's been, but it ain't SEC ball. And so I wanted to play SEC ball. Then it got to a point that I said I want to play in the Iron Bowl, and I had a couple of friends. Robert Malone was up here. Larry Casher was up here.
Yeah, money.
I was like, let me go to Auburn, try Auburn now, and see how it turns out. And I'm glad I made that choice.
DeAndre Green was probably one of the most freakish athletes I saw at that age, man. And did you influence his decision to come to Auburn?
He said he did, I guess. I remember I had committed to Auburn, and then he had went to I think he went to recruiting to Mississippi State. And then I told him, I like, hey man, look, I don't know where you're going, man, but I'm going to Auburn. Right. That's when he said, hell, me too. So I don't know if I influenced him or what have you, but that's how it went. You know what I'm saying? I kept my word, and we both was at Auburn, so that's how it went.
Man, shout out to DD, man. So
yeah, DD Green.
Absolutely. So where you are now, and being that you've been around coaching for so long, you've witnessed transition, you've witnessed Auburn for a long time. I've been saying that this is probably one of Auburn's most important hires since I've been watching Auburn football. If you don't get this one right, you run the risk of going a decade without a winning season.
Yeah.
What would you be looking for? Not who, but what characteristics of a coach would you be looking for to lead Auburn back to his winning ways that we're used to?
Honestly, I would look for a hard-nosed, tough coach that kind of major in complementary football in a sense. I think we got to get back to that because Auburn has a blueprint of how they like to play football.
Right.
It's going to be hard-nosed, going to hit you in the mouth, we're going to run the football, we're going to play great defense. And when you get through playing against Auburn, you played against Auburn.
Right.
You're going to feel Auburn physicality for 2 weeks or so.
Right.
And so we got to get a coach that buys into that, not just winning, because if you do things the right way, you're going to win here at Auburn. Right. So if you can buy into what Auburn football was, and how it used to be, and honestly, the Auburn fans, they want to see that. They know they want to see good, hard-nosed Auburn football. Hit you in the mouth and let the chips fall. And they can accept the results after that. But if you go and playing this sideline to sideline ball, you go out there just trying to win. All you're trying to do is win. When you do that, you lose. Especially here at Auburn. You
Right.
know, so we just need somebody here who believes in hard-nosed, physical brand of Auburn football. They're gonna run the ball. They're gonna play great defense. Play a little complimentary football, and just let the chips fall where they may. And then we also need somebody here, where there's gonna be head coach or somebody on their staff to develop these young men and young black men in particular, because with the NIL is the way it is right now, it seems like the hard coaching isn't there like it used to be. And so it kind of like, well, I can't say too much to them, or it kind of getting pacified and babied in a sense. That's what it looked like on the outside looking in. And so we just need somebody who will come in there and call a spade to these young men. And what better people to do it than persons or people who's done it, who walked in their shoes. And I just think they need a couple of more former players and what have you that don't mind telling them how it is and how it's going to be, how it used to be. But I try to stay away from that when I played, deal, because hell, I played. Last time I got in the 3-point stand, it was 2003, so that's 22 years ago. And I can only imagine when I was there in 2000 that I wanted to hear from somebody from 1978, and that's the perspective I take.
Right.
And so and sometimes they don't want to hit the overheads. I mean, I get that, but if they do, you'll get some that just want to hear, saying about, just guide them in the right way and guide them in the knowing that you have their best interests at heart, and guiding them for them to be the best person they can be.
I think that's important. And when you looked at this year's Auburn team, were there any players that may have stood out to you like a throwback type of player that he could have played with us on that 02 team or the 03 team? Anybody that stood out to you that said, that guy might that's one of the greatest. When I talk to you guys, one of the greatest compliments. Like, I remember one time Lack said, man, Jarquez could have played with us. Like, he said, like, yeah, he could have played, that's what he said.
Yeah.
So is there anybody this year who you felt like could have played with you?
You say Cam Coleman, just because he's a physical specimen.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. But the guy I like is Xavier Atkins.
Mm.
I like Xavier. He played the game the right way. And he's tough, hard nosed, or what have you. And I'm trying to think. That's the only one that really stands. I mean, Keltrick Falk.
Right.
He's just he's physical. He's a big guy. He's talented enough that he could have played with us, no question.
Right.
But I know you're thinking more so of a mentality and a physicality standpoint. I don't know if because of the scheme or the person, but it's kind of few and far between, just on the naked eye and on the outside looking in, and I ain't there with them on an everyday basis. But Cam and Kelcher, just because they're just physical specimens, and then Xavier Atkins, I like he's probably the closest one to me.
When you look at Auburn's season, if there was anything that you could have done to change, like from the outside looking in, what did it feel like was missing for a team this talented to have a season like they did? What do you feel like what was missing? What was the missing ingredient?
Run the damn ball.
Run the ball.
Run the ball. You know what I'm saying? So, I always had a saying, sometimes you got to say hell with the PO and just give me the R.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Just R. You know what I'm saying? Because when you give people options that's not as talented or what have you, or you making quarterbacks making decisions on 70, 75 plays a game. Sometimes as a player, you need time to decompress. You know what I'm saying? You came off a 3rd and 6, you got the first down, you're emotional. Man, let me hand the ball off. You know what I'm saying? So to get my mind back at ease. Here, man, take the ball, run for 2 yards, give me 2nd and 8. Versus let me read it. And got to make the right read every time. And to ask the kid to make the proper read for 70 plays a game is almost unrealistic.
Right.
And sometimes you say, hey, here, man, get the ball.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Get out my hands. You know what I'm saying? And have them make decisions 30 times a game.
Right.
35 times max, versus 70. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so and that's a big difference for me as far as like playing quarterback. You gotta ease their mind, just get the ball, man. Run for 3 yards. It's okay. 3 yards ain't never been bad.
Right.
That's just like when you play blackjack. Push is better than a pool.
Yeah.
And so man, just get the ball. Get it out of my hands. Let me decompress. And then when I have to be at my best, I'll be at my best. But when you're making decisions 75 times a game, you will never be at your best.
Right.
You will never be at your best. You just making decisions 75 times. You're gonna mess up. Let's say you mess up 10 times a game.
Yeah, like the numbers don't support being perfect, right?
Yeah, ain't no question. Question. And so that's my biggest gripe. That's only been my biggest gripe with RPO team, man. Sometimes you just gotta hand the ball off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Stop looking for the perfect play and just play the long game. You know what I'm saying? Hand the ball off. Because also when you do RPO now, what are you setting up for? You're not setting up anything, because now you let the defense dictate where you go with the ball instead of be like, okay, I'm gonna run this power play to the right here. I'm gonna see how this outside linebacker react to this, blocking scheme or what have you. Oh, he biting hard. So next time I can come with a power pass right over his head or drag right behind him. But when you just RPO, to me, it's just I always didn't like the RPO, especially when teams caught on to the RPO when they got outdated. Because I definitely do think it's outdated in a sense. But I would say just run the ball. Just run the ball and don't have quarterback making decisions 75 times a game.
Man, it's funny you said that because on an earlier video I said, man, the RPO. I said maybe we can just scrap some of the RPO and just go to more of just tell them where to go with the ball. Just tell them, hey, look, pass. If you pass it, let them know you passing it. Just give them good concepts, right? Take the decision-making part out of it because it seems like he's already processing a little slow. So if he's not making, if the processing isn't good, then what do you think the execution is going to be like?
But, ain't no question. It's just like anything. Like if you tell me, run, if I play offensive line, hey, this is a run play. I know I got this guy and I'm finna drive him off the ball. Period. If I say I got a pass play, I know I can sit light and kick slide and be at my best. But if you give him the option, I don't know what it is. Now he's a site. He don't know should he go hard or shouldn't he go hard? If it is a pass, I can't go too far. I don't know if he got the ball. And so now you ain't even at your best as a lineman.
Right.
You just getting in somebody's way. You just trying to, cover them up versus being physical and knocking them off the ball, knowing there's a run. And it's just a different mindset. And people underestimate the mind in the game of football. That's just like when you watch Texas A&M in South Carolina. That was nothing but a mind game right there.
Right.
Once it got 30-3, then once it became 30-10 with the crowd, you're like, okay, they finna make it a game. And they made the game. Once you make it a football game, now it's anybody's game. But it's all started with the mind, and people don't realize how powerful the mind is in the game of football, especially with 18 to 22-year-olds.
Absolutely. Speaking of the mindset of 18 to 22-year-olds, recruiting wise, these guys don't the guys, or let's go a little younger. Let's go to class of 2027. If you graduated in 2027, you were born maybe in 2010, 2009, something like that. For these kids haven't seen the glory days of Auburn. How would you, let's say you're a recruiter for Auburn, how would you recruit for Auburn, even though these kids haven't seen Auburn being a winning program? Like, how do you tell them that, hey, Auburn is the place that you need to be?
Yeah, honestly, I would tell them, especially, I tell them to come to a Saturday night game in Jordan-Hare, That'll be for starters. The atmosphere is really unlike any other. I've been, like last week me and my wife, we went to 2 SEC games in one day.
Oh wow.
We went to the Georgia Mississippi State game, and then we drove over and watched the Alabama LSU game.
Oh wow.
And those atmospheres is nothing like Jordan Hare. It's nothing like Jordan. It's a difference.
Right.
And I think that's for starters. Just get them in the building and watch the fans interact with the players and watch them get behind their team. Because honestly, if we just talking about Auburn great, they can say Alabama great. They can say LSU great. They can say Georgia great. They can say Tennessee being in the playoffs. They can say Vanderbilt making a run. They can say Oklahoma, Texas. So you can't spin it. You can't spin it like that right now.
Right.
Especially to a 17, 18-year-old,
Right.
You just got to get them in the building. Get them in the building. Get them on campus. Get them at a game. And just hopefully the atmosphere can supersede all the other stuff that other teams can throw out there as far as like we're winning and, we're playing for championships because Auburn had to play for a championship in, 6-7 years or what have you. And so, that would be my deal. Just get them in the building, get them on campus.
When you talk about the jobs that are available right now, you got Florida, you've got LSU. Some people are ranking Auburn behind Penn State to say that it may be as of right now, it's the 4th most attractive job in the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
For someone who lives in Auburn, who grew up in, as a man in Auburn, played for Auburn, how do you feel about this job? Like the job, is it truly 4? Is it 5? Is it 6? Like, how good a job is Auburn?
See, that's the thing. Now, the job at Auburn is a good job, but it's a tough job because you got to realize, like, Auburn is out of 16 teams. Auburn is 14th right now out of 16 teams. And let's say you do make strides. Let's say we get you back in the top half of the SEC. That's 7th, 8th. 7th, 8th in the SEC. They get you 23rd in the country, 21st in the country, which is mid, like them young folks say. It's mid,
Right.
And so I think from that aspect, it might be I think that's the perspective they're taking, that it's 4th or 5th in the cycle, versus, we all know the SEC football is the best conference or what have you, but when you swimming upstream and you got other schools that's been better, all right, and so now you talking about you're 13th, 14th in the league of 16, and you're gonna make strides. So you gotta go from 14 to 3rd to 4th, to even be in the conversation of one of the best in the SEC, and that's a lot of people to jump.
Yeah.
So you're gonna take a special person now. You're gonna take a special person, but I don't think the turnaround is that tough, is that should take as long, because I think we're talented as long as we can keep the kids. But it ain't easy because right now, the numbers say, we is 1-6 in the SEC. And the only team we beat was a winless Arkansas team.
Yeah.
And so that's just the numbers. That's just the way it is. I know we all love Auburn, but when you just put the numbers on the table, that's what it is. That's what it reads out. And so, so for me, I can understand why it's 4th or 5th, because it's going to be a tough, turnaround. But once you get it turned around, that's when the fun begins. And it's quite it's possible that a special one can do that, but it's going to take a good person to lead the program.
When a person that is in the hunt is DJ Durkin, current defensive coordinator. When you think about a DC being promoted from within, historically, what's been your opinion on hiring from within or hiring the interim in situations like these?
Well, I wanted them to hire Lack.
Right.
a few years ago. Because at the end of the day, you can hire from within. Now that person has got to get people around him that he trusts and that can make him better. And so it just depends on why they're hiring him, why he's the interim. Are they hiring him because he's getting results right now? Or do they want to hire because they feel like he's the best person for the job? So it's several reasons why you hire the interim, and I think DJ's deal for me would be different because of he's already one of the highest paid D coordinators to me. He always one of the highest paid D coordinators, and so he can keep the majority of the talent back on campus. If they bring in somebody new, they're gonna look at it. They're gonna be searching elsewhere. And so with him already having a relationship with talented guys, then I think it'll be more seamless. And then he's been a head coach before. He's a great defensive coordinator. All right. So now you can save a little money in the sense that you bump him up $1.5 million to be the head coach. He'll be grateful, what have you. He'll take the opportunity. I'm quite sure I don't want to speak for nobody. Be like, I want to negotiate. I need $8 million. Hey, man. That I don't think he's in a position to do that. They just offer me. I'm quite sure he'll say yes. And so, so the interim you can hire from within, but why are you hiring from within? To keep the talent, to keep the defense intact, that kind of deal. Versus if he win 4 games out of 5. Going off momentum, that's a little different. So I think it's two ways you can hire from within.
Do you think the transition would be easier if DJ Durkin was hired?
Ain't no question. It'll be almost seamless. Now the fact's gonna be how he gonna do the offense.
Right.
I know they had a great game offensively. Against Vanderbilt, but he got to put his stamp on his staff, what I'm saying, on the staff or what have you. And so that'll be kind of a difficult situation, decisions, but that's why they pay the head coach the big bucks. You can't satisfy everybody. You got to make a decision, live with it, because that's in the best interest of you and your program. So I definitely think it'll be more seamless than hire somebody who on the outside looking in. Now you got to say, I want to keep Durkin, and then I'm gonna let the offensive guys go or what have you. Especially, and it'd be definitely difficult if that person is a defensive person, But I definitely think it'll be seamless if they hire DJ Durkin. I think it'd be more seamless, I should say.
You've got experience with. Now, I'm gonna take you back. We sitting in, I believe, Scarborough Square. I think the year is maybe 2002, and I think J Cam pulls up, or that may be 01. J Cam comes over and you call him the future. That's the future. That's the future.
Yeah.
At this point, Jason Campbell wasn't the guy yet, right? But he was considered to be the future. Auburn has a guy who's kind of in those same shoes right now in Deuce Knight.
Yes.
How did you guys help Jason Campbell make that transition? You being older than him at the time and playing already, how did you guys help Jason become the guy? Because I remember, I know if you remember like I remember, Jason wasn't as confident when he first started. It was, but you guys helped bring him along and he became a first-round draft pick. How did you guys assist Jason Campbell in becoming the man?
Well, Jason, it all started with Jason assisting himself. And so, back in those days that, I wouldn't say we were clicked up or what have you, but you kind of separated yourself from, do you work hard or do you not work hard? Are you one of them guys or are you not one of those guys? And so that was the separation. And he was on the side of, I work hard, give everything I got, I'm gonna leave it on the field kind of guy. So, okay, we can deal with you right now. Now let's mold this. Let's mold this clay, chunk of clay. There's a good chunk of clay that we can mold. And so, like you said, J. Cam didn't have the most confidence in a sense. You know, he was a little timid or what have you. But one thing he did have, he had talent.
Right.
And you know, sometimes you gotta see other people have to see you to know what kind of talent you have. And so that was what our job was in the sense. I don't even call it a job, but we say, hey man, you pretty good. You better than the other guy. You know, but it's just circumstances of why you're not playing, which is fine. Just be the best version of yourself.
Right.
You know, and that's another thing is that, you know, when you get kids, like J. Cam has always been Jason Campbell.
Right.
He always been J. Cam. He ain't been nobody else.
No imposter
syndrome.
So
not even close. He just been that. He always been the best version of himself, no matter what that is. You know. I ain't saying it's a bad. I definitely ain't saying the bad thing, but he's always been J. Cam. You know, people. You know, I always been me. You know, and that's all you want from a person is to be themselves. Now, when you see phony, when you see fake, no matter how talented you are, you know, you're gonna only ride that ride for so long. I don't care how talented you are,
right?
Especially with teammates. But when you see a person who's authentically themselves, and you know, regardless if you think it's a lame or he cool or a ladies' man or just a dweeb, no matter what the case may be, if he's the best version of himself, you can respect it. You know what I'm saying? And so therefore, that's what, you know, with J. Cam, we respected. We all respected J. Cam. We all respected each other that in the sense of, you know, you worked hard and you're the best version of yourself. You ain't trying to fake Jake. You know, we know we had a couple of players on the team that were kind of like, you know, try to be something that they're not. And, you know, and those kind, you know, you separate the ooh from the goo, you know. So, you know, but, you know, with Jason Campbell, with J. Cam in particular, you know, he was always the best version of himself. He always gave himself a chance. And, you know, that's why he was able to put himself in position to lead us and play good football and eventually become a first-round draft pick.
Man, DeMarco, man, it's been a pleasure, man. I appreciate you coming on. Always fun. We got to do it again. Any parting, any parting message for the Auburn family as they go through this transition?
Hey, I would say for the Auburn family, they say we live with the results of who they pick, but, you know, kind of voice your opinion in a sense, you know. And that what got, you know, Tennessee not to hire a certain coach or what have you. Then they mess around and hire the coach that, you know, probably the better choice or what have you. So voice your opinion. Just be who you are. You know, if you feel like you like one person versus another, then do so. But you know, but I know the Auburn family is going to support whoever Mr. Cohen brings in or what have you. But all Auburn fans want to see is the good Auburn football. You know, somebody who's going to run the ball, somebody going to play defense, and you know, and just play complimentary football and be feels good and let the chips fall. And so we're going to support them, whoever it is, and then we'll just get behind them and cheer them on, you know, like they've been doing the last 6-7 years. They did the last 6-7 years. I'm quite sure next year wouldn't be any different.
Man, I know that's right. DeMarco, man, I appreciate it. You got any social media you want to plug?
Oh, man, I don't plug too much. You can find me on Facebook. That's about it. DeMarco McNeil. I ain't hard to find. I had the same phone number for 25 years. So you really know me, you know me. You can get to me. I ain't hard to find though, man. So,
all right, man. I appreciate it, man. See you soon, my brother.
No doubt. Appreciate you, man.
All right.